There's a man who fights for people's rights. There's a man who fights for people who can't fight for themselves. There's a man who stands up to his government. There's a man who's not been afraid of being locked up for what he knows he believes is right. And his name's Billy. He's my brother and I'm dead, dead proud of him. Yes, power to the people! Power to Billy!
I originally seen a few articles about Loose Space online being a social centre and a squat in Manchester, one of the largest ones over the last couple of years, and that had me very interested. With all the activism work I've done in the past, I just wanted to see what was going on here, so I came down to one of the open mic nights it was and just got introduced to all the people who was running that at the time and fell in love with all the work, how the art space was arranged, all the activities which were going on in the main space, and just everybody here was some of the kindest, most lovely people I've met in a very long time. So it just captivated me from the moment I walked in the door, and I haven't really been able to leave since. When I first joined, I thought Loose Space was the rebirth of the scene in Manchester. Over the past couple of years, all activism, squatting, even hippie, rave, all those cultures have gone very quiet inside of Manchester, and I did envision this building to start off with as the rebirth of the scene. From being involved, meeting the people and actually running the place myself, I now know that it's a completely new movement. We've got our own ideology, our own goals, what we want to achieve, what we want to accomplish, and just what we've already done in this space in the past month or so has been unbelievable. Going from here, Loose Space has become my family without any uncertainty in that. Cornerhouse, for us, for a starting point of Loose Space on such a public platform has been brilliant, and the only way we can go on from here is bigger and better. Definitely something I'm planning to be part of. The easy place to start is the social side. The Cornerhouse Cinema was an institute of Manchester for over 30 years. It was one of the best cinemas in my opinion from the experience of it, and it was a beloved spot by the entire city. Sadly, it got closed down when Home opened, and it's been derelict and unused for the past few years. Being able to reopen this building back to the public as a social centre where anybody could come down, contribute to the art room, relax in the wellbeing room, partake in one of our nights or the workshops, anything we've been doing, and just open Loose Space from the small collective that we had to the entire family which was going across the city. Giving the Cornerhouse back to Manchester was one of the most important things. Of course, we've also got the residential side, actually housing the homeless and all the work we've done around that. Being able to give people a building to sleep in once again. Then all the activism we've done, having workshops, how to open your own squat. Just simple things like how to fix up a bike, migrant solidarity, even protesting some of the GMP hustings which has gone around the city. Loose Space has had a definite impact and just for here and now these are going to be felt throughout the rest of Manchester for a good couple of years to come.
There's so many people that are slipping through the cracks. So, squatting action, I think it's a symptom of capitalism, an Orwellian system. You know, that's becoming more and more nightmarish by the day, it seems. But what other choice do people have when, you know, the housing market's just designed for fucking profit? They're not asked about housing people or providing for people's needs. You know, I've worked with council or alongside the council and the Greater Manchester Police and a whole range of other networks that, you know, work to tackle issues like homelessness, for example. And it's such a big problem that we all realise is quite systemic. And it's like, if we're not all willing to get up and do something as people. So when people started breaking open squats, I was hearing about it through, you know, a lot of the homeless networks that existed, not only to make a statement for Manchester, for like the issues that we have within society, the issues that we're dealing with on a regular basis. It's an everyday thing, you know. Like for some people, we can't just get away from it. You know, like you can try and walk away, but it's that itch. You know, it's a big problem, and it needs to be solved in some way, shape, or form. At a root level, we have such a deep issue, a deeply rooted issue, and that comes down to, for me, like some of the big aspects are the politics, the law, the health, the education. You know, like those. There's so many institutions that need radical reform.
Well, occupying the space, obviously, we know that there is going to be a chance of us. Well, we know at the end of the day that we're going to be moved on at some point, and we can resist. To the point where, you know, we've not got any control over it anymore, and they're coming, breaking the way into the building and smashing the way through, and dragging us out. Luckily, that we've been able to compromise and talk to them, and that's what we want. That's the aim. You know, when we go into the building, we make first contact. We want to be talking to them and helping them understand why we're occupying space and how we have the right to do so. And they have to go about it the proper way and go to court and take us through the legal action. But if they want to work with us, they can save a load of money and just let us finish our projects and do what we need to do and use the space. The resistance side of it, we only resist if we have to. Do you know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't be up there if we didn't have to be. As we were saying before, we've got one building with half of the people in, so they're safe and they've got the sanctuary at the moment, and we've still got half of us that haven't. There's not enough room in that one building for all of us to move in, so if they did evict us out of here, we wouldn't have anywhere to go. So we need to be making sure that we've got an occupation before we leave this space, and we need them to understand that we're not leaving until we want to leave. It's not the case, you know, we could resist a lot longer than this, but it's about weighing up and seeing if it's worth doing that. We've finished our projects, we've done everything we came here to do, and it's been an amazing thing, and now we're moving on. So yeah, the MPs and the mayors and stuff, they're meant to be the middle ground between us, you know, and Parliament and the state. So they're meant to be coming into these sort of spaces and finding out what's going on and seeing how they can help. But instead of doing so, they're actually getting bailiffs to drag us out of these buildings and put us back at square one. But if they come in and see what we're actually doing here, building community, and try and work through our own problems and understand ourselves so we can deal with our own problems, and then, you know, reaching out to help other people through that, just through your responses and your reactions with people and how you approach different situations, can make a massive difference. It's like a ripple effect. The way we treat each other, and the actions that we take have massive consequences, and our ideologies and our ideas have consequences as well. And, you know, there's a lot of thought and a lot of passion and a lot of time that gets put into these spaces. The last, you know, the decent thing they could do is come and see what we're actually doing here. We're trying to make democracy fair. We're trying to make it so people know where they stand in their rights and what they're actually putting their voice forward for and putting their vote forward for. Because if people don't understand what they're putting the vote forward for and what they're putting their taxes towards, you know, it's not democracy. It's a dictatorship. So, yeah, and I'm not up for living in that.